All right, let's talk about something that's, at the core of every single real estate deal. What is a property actually worth? I mean, it's just one number, right? But that one number can literally make or break a sale. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain and figure out exactly how that number gets decided.
So maybe you're buying a home, probably the biggest purchase you'll ever make. Or maybe you're on the other side, selling your most valuable asset. Either way, that big question can keep you tossing and turning at night. What's it really worth? How do you get past all the noise, the market hype and your own emotional connection to a place, and land on a real solid number?
Well, luckily, there's an answer, and it's an objective one. It's a whole standardized process designed for this exact problem, and it's called a home appraisal. Think of it as the key that unlocks an unbiased answer in what can be a super emotional decision. And that's what we're digging into today, how it all works.
Okay, so let's get right to it. First things first, what is a home appraisal anyway?
Now, this definition is super important. An appraisal isn't just a random guess or wishful thinking. Nope. It's a professional, totally impartial evaluation of what a property is worth on the market right now. And it's done by a licensed pro who has absolutely no skin in the game, no financial reason to lean one way or the other.
Here's a cool way to think about it. You know how a home inspection is like a doctor's checkup for the house's physical health? Well, an appraisal is kind of like a financial background check. The appraiser is basically a detective, snooping around for clues to figure out its true, cold, hard cash value. All right, so we know what it is, but why does it matter so much? Why is it such a big deal? The simple answer? It's all about protection. And this quote just nails it. The whole point is to make sure decisions are fair and, financially smart. An appraisal is like a neutral referee in this high-stakes game of real estate. It's there to make sure the final numbers are based on reality, not just hopes and dreams. So who's getting protected here? You might be surprised. It's not just one person. The appraisal is actually a safety net for pretty much everyone involved. Let's break down who gets that protection and why. First up, you've got the lenders, the banks. For them, that house isn't just a place to live, it's collateral. It's the security blanket for the huge loan they're about to give out. The appraisal makes sure they don't lend, say, $500,000 for a house that's only worth $450,000. It protects them in case things go south and the borrower can't pay. Okay, now let's talk about the buyer, which, let's be honest, is probably you. For you, the appraisal is like a shield. It's what stops you from overpaying. It's that final check that says, yep, this is a fair price. It keeps you from getting swept up in the emotion of it all or a crazy hot market and making a really bad financial move. It's a sanity check on your biggest investment. And believe it or not, it helps sellers too. Now you might think, don't sellers just want the highest price, period? Well, yeah, but an appraisal actually helps them get a deal done. It sets realistic expectations. It helps them land on an asking price that makes sense for the current market, which means they'll attract real, serious buyers, instead of having their house just sit there for months. So we've covered the what and the why. Now let's get into the how. How does this whole financial detective thing actually work? You'll see the process is actually pretty straightforward. Okay, it really all boils down to these three key steps. First, the appraiser comes out for an on-site examination. They're not just glancing around. They're measuring rooms, checking out the condition, noting any upgrades, the whole shebang, inside and out. Then comes the second and honestly the most important part, the comparative analysis. They go find similar homes in your area that have sold recently. We call these comps. They're looking for houses that are kind of like yours in size, age, and condition. And they adjust the price based on differences. Like if a comp has a brand new kitchen and yours doesn't, they'll account for that. And finally, step 3. They take all that info, all that research, and put it into a detailed written assessment. This report doesn't just give you the final number, it shows you all the evidence and the math they used to get there. Okay, so you get the process now. But when are you actually going to need one of these things? Turns out, there are a few key times in life where an appraisal isn't just a good idea, it's pretty much required. All right, here's the number one reason, the big one. If you're getting a mortgage to buy a house, the bank is almost definitely going to require an appraisal. It's how they make sure their loan is a safe bet. Another super common time is when you're refinancing your mortgage. Remember, refinancing is basically just swapping your old loan for a new one. So the lender needs to know what your home is worth today to figure out how much they can lend you. And hey, it's not always about buying, selling, or refinancing.
Appraisals are also really important for things like estate planning, when a property is being inherited and needs to be divided up fairly. They're also used in divorce settlements to make sure the property value is split equitably.
All right, so as we wrap this up, let's just circle back to the main point here. What's the biggest takeaway? What's the real ultimate purpose of a home appraisal? When you boil it all down, it's about one thing: fairness. It creates a transparent deal for everybody involved. It gives you that solid, credible, and totally unbiased number that acts as the foundation for what is, for most of us, the biggest financial decision of our lives.
So in the end, an appraisal gives you the value, but you know what truly makes a house a home? An appraisal can put a price tag on the walls, the roof, and the yard, but it can't ever measure the laughter, the memories, or the life that happens inside. It gives you the financial value, for sure, but the real value, well, that's up to you to create.